In capitalistic societies like the U.S., urban planners incorporate economic development in their plans, providing residents of a municipality or neighborhood with job opportunities and thriving business districts. However, planning practices have been heavily influenced by the racial discrimination present in all areas of society throughout American history. This is apparent in the conditions existing in low-income Black communities to this day, including concentrated poverty, nearness to hazardous environments, and vacant properties. The discriminatory practices of banks, real estate agencies, housing authorities, and urban planners have shaped communities in ways that have negatively impacted generations of people. These choices made at every level of government have helped determine outcomes like the racial wealth gap and the cost of segregation, examined recently in a report of the same name. In the United States, economic development and opportunity impact well-being. The wealth gap points to the clear barriers placed before people of color in the establishment of a stable, healthy life. For example, creating a system that crystallizes homeownership as a reliable source of investment and then making it almost impossible for African Americans to actually buy a home is clearly racist. The GI Bill is another example, providing opportunities for upward economic mobility to veterans while excluding those who were Black. For young people with families or little interest in traditional education, the military offers a living wage and the chance to begin a lifelong career. These positive benefits of military service are relatively new for Black service members and veterans, while white service members and veterans have enjoyed these benefits for a long time. Through the GI Bill, adopted in 1944 by the U.S. government, white World War II veterans could apply for a wide range of educational opportunities, jobs and job training programs, and mortgage subsidies to buy a new home. According to The Color of Law, A Forgotten History of How Our Government Segregated America by Richard Rothstein, the VA not only denied African Americans mortgage subsidies to which they were entitled, but frequently restricted education and training to lower-level jobs for African Americans who were qualified to acquire greater skills. The U.S. federal government maintained an economic reality for African Americans forged by slavery, the racial capitalism of the Jim Crow South, and de facto segregation practices in the North. How was such treatment of American citizens justified? Rothstein further states, servicemen with dishonorable discharges were ineligible for benefits under the GI Bill, and African American soldiers disproportionately received dishonorable discharges, some for protesting segregation in army towns. This continues a precedence of overly severe and unjust punishment for any Black person who protested their dehumanization. But it wasn't just dishonorably discharged Black service members who were refused the benefits of the GI Bill. Rothstein informs us that many Black World War II veterans did not apply for government-guaranteed mortgages for suburban purchases because they knew that the Veterans Administration would reject them on account of their race, so applications were pointless. Things have changed since 1944. In fact, most upward mobility in my family comes from a long history of military service, from my younger brother back to my dad, both my granddads, and beyond. However, nothing has been done to level the playing field for the Black community overall, and it continues to suffer from the effects that a lack of accessibility brings. The Color of Law defines de jure segregation as segregation by law and policy, and while residential racial segregation by state action is a violation of our Constitution and its Bill of Rights, planners, real estate agencies, and banks found ways around this throughout the 20th century, engaging in what we call de facto segregation, which flew under the radar. According to the Cost of Segregation report, segregation in all its forms hurts the economy. The report focuses on Chicago, pointing out the ways that a lack of income and job opportunities for African Americans spells trouble for everyone by reducing the regional GDP. The study provides examples of economic exclusion beyond the GI Bill, reminding readers that after the start of the Great Migration in 1916, the Chicago Real Estate Board, or the CREB, instituted racially restrictive covenants that prohibited African Americans from purchasing, leasing, and occupying a small area on the city's south side. Solutions to the effects of these practices suggested in the report include a more rapid desegregation process, saying that the rate of desegregation now will put the city in more ideal conditions between 2060 and 2070. So why plan? I see the capacity of urban planning to be used for good. Planning interventions I hope to engage in include creating methodology that works to improve historically disenfranchised communities by identifying and countering the effects of racist policies put in place by past planners, challenging planners, both academics and practicing professionals, to prioritize the development of curricula and grassroots work that encourages people from marginalized communities to pursue a career in urban planning, This economic justice approach can provide a more educational and job opportunities, providing the tools and training for marginalized communities to take injustices in their own hands and address the needs of their neighborhood. While we focus on the image of spatial organization that the term urban planning evokes, let's also remember that African Americans are living in environments that were purposely shaped to keep them economically stagnant, and that today's planners have a responsibility, since we stand on the shoulders of these complicit planners, to make a difference today.